goes right, comes right. I'd like to go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, November 13th, 2018. And if you would all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Clerk Schuler, do we have any adjustments to the agenda? If not, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. First item of business, public comments pertaining to items on this agenda. First up, Pedro Moret. Have a seat and speak into the microphone.
Good evening. My name is Pedro Moret. I live at 8007 Denton Drive in Waxhaw. I wanted to make just a quick comment on what I had read as far as the agenda. I was watching the work session before I got here, and some of the questions that I had or comments that I had kind of got resolved. But I think ultimately what I wanted to say was that I believe that fireworks display, Santa's right through the town, and the dare programs are really, really important to this town as a whole. I think it's all about kids, and I've heard it mentioned that there's a safety consideration for some of the events and whatnot. And I understand that. However, end of the day for me, it's about kids. Through the 4th of July, we teach them about patriotism. Through the Christmas events, we teach them about love and charity and kindness. And in their program, if none know the impact that it has on kids, I suggest you take a second look at it. I agree with Commissioner Rowe, who says that it seems like we're kind of giving up on this. I think it should be looked at a little bit more. Just hoping that this wouldn't be discussed in November to make a decision for the budget for next year. Again, I don't know when that would have been a better time to do. I don't know how you have it scheduled. But it seems that if we're doing that now, at this late hour, there isn't enough conversation on it. So ultimately, like I said, I think that this should be relooked at. I know that it's not finalized, but I hope that when the board does consider the changes, that it keeps in mind that it is a strain. It's a strain on the budget, it's a strain on safety, it's a strain on a lot of things. But most importantly, beyond that, it's something that we should be doing for the town, especially the kids. Chief, I know it's a long day. I've worked there a lot of those days, so I know what you mean by that. But I think we can get around that. I think we work together. I heard some of the ideas presented as far as getting businesses involved, and I think that's a great idea. I've seen it with a couple of businesses in town already, so I think that it's something that we can do. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. And just a point of clarity, we are not making any budget decisions whatsoever. We are merely making calendar decisions. So we are not talking budget at all. That will come up beginning in the February timeframe for next year and run through June. Next up, Ann Simpson.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and town staff. My name is Ann Simpson. I live at 2517 Trading Ford Drive right here in Waxhaw. Earlier tonight during the work session, you heard a presentation by town staff who was initially tasked to work on cost savings during the June 2018 budget cycle to decrease costs by cutting events that had become too much, too expensive needs and wants. The town staff recommended tonight eliminating the 4th of July fireworks, Santa's drive through the neighborhoods, horse-drawn carriage rides in the downtown Waxhaw during the Christmas season, and implementing a pay-to-play fee schedule. While I applaud the efforts of the town staff to reduce costs and tighten the budget, the $36,000 in proposed cost savings that these events cuts represent is not even 1/3 of 1% of the $11 million town fiscal budget. Let me say that again. The event costs are not even 1/3 of 1% of an $11 million town fiscal budget. I understand the board's role in being the stewards of the people's money and fiscally responsible and accountable. However, I would like to recommend, instead of increasing taxes, fees, and eliminating our beloved town events, the board focuses their efforts on diversifying the tax base away from relying on the 93% residential tax base income by creating economic development initiatives to attract industrial commercial businesses such as technology designers or software developers, which will require a smaller footprint within the town limits, thus increasing and providing a non-residential tax revenue source. I also understand that there are safety concerns regarding the 4th of July fireworks. That is very important. However, I don't think we still have town events that those issues and concerns come with. Tonight during the work sessions, I heard several commissioners make some options that I think should be explored and not just throw their hands up like Commissioner Burrell had suggested. While there are some individuals who believe the 4th of July fireworks, Santa's drive through the neighborhoods, and the horse-drawn carriage rides in downtown Waxhaw are expensive wants and not needs, many Waxhaw citizens have expressed these events and long-held family traditions are exactly why they chose to live and raise their family here, as well as, in part, Waxhaw's small-town family and community values for future generations. I urge you not to approve the event and program calendar for 2019 and preserve the unique, quaint, charming traditions and the quality of life that Waxhaw has been known for by its citizens.
Thank you. Next up, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Recognition, introduction of new employee. Oh, Matt, you're not the new employee, are you?
Hi, good evening. He's not ready for the microphone yet, but I did want to take an opportunity to introduce our new staff engineer, Orion Holte. He effectively doubles the engineering department single-handedly. Right. He wants you to know he's got a beautiful wife, Liz, and a daughter, a 5-year-old daughter, Valerie. And he's aware of all the issues we have, and he's here to help. And so we're excited to have him on board.
Welcome. We'd let you speak, but your boss said you're not ready for the microphone, so we'll hold off till another meeting. Okay, next item up is public hearing on Mary O'Neill's patio door, CUP petition CU 007800-2018. Mr. Jones.
It's my first time at the table.
At this point in time, I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board. Let's see here. This is a request to alter the facade of Mary O'Neill's restaurant by installing a new exterior door to service a proposed restaurant patio. The existing building is in the Main Street zoning district and as a result requires a conditional use permit to alter the facade. Mary O'Neill's is located in downtown off West North Main Street near the intersection with North Broome Street. See the surrounding land uses on the map. Mary O'Neill's parcel is zoned MS for Main Street. To the north, there's town property with the water tank historic landmark, zoned MS. To the south is North Main Street. To the east is town property with a parking area zoned MS. To the west is Broom Street Barbershop, zoning MS. The door is to access an uncovered patio. The UDO states that design changes to the facade or alterations to the exterior will require a conditional use permit. The reasoning behind the CUP process in this circumstance is that the regulation currently is our only protection in the downtown buildings that give Waxhaw character, contribute to economic development, and tell our story. For the staff analysis, you see the site plan that's on the screen. There's existing patio area with the door. There's really no visual impact from roadways or major pedestrian walkways. The side wall or the wall that they're altering does not have a special brick relief design on it. And it provides the business with necessary outdoor seating oversight to manage the area. This is a site photo showing the approximate location of a proposed door. So, although this is not a historic landmark and not subject to the Waxhaw Historic Landmark Guidelines, it is in keeping with the guidelines. In the guidelines, it mentions support for new opportunities in the downtown area. The quote there, contemporary design approaches to rear elevations may provide opportunities for updated building uses, and one of the examples they give is outdoor dining areas. The Historic Landmark Guidelines also support placing a secondary access on a side or rear of an existing facility. If a secondary, this is the quote, if a secondary access must be added, located on the side or rear so that it does not destroy any character defining facade features or provide, let me see here, or provide an interior access point. We're told that the door design will follow similar to the entrance door that's at Mary O'Neill's right now. So planning staff recommends approval of CU 007802018, a request for a conditional use permit for Mary O'Neill's to alter the facade of the existing building in the MS zoning district by installing an exterior door to access a proposed restaurant patio with the following condition. The proposed exterior patio door maintains the historic character of the downtown area by complying with the Waxhaw Unified Development Ordinance Downtown Code section and following the Waxhaw Historic Landmark Guidelines. So the requested action after the hearing, after the close of the hearing, under old business later, will be to vote on the 4 findings of fact and then make motions to approve or deny the petition, and then vote on a statement of reasonableness and consistency. There's the motions listed there, either a motion to approve as presented, a motion to approve with the condition that staff mentioned, or also if the board chooses so to attempt to add any other conditions with the approval of the applicant, or a motion to deny the petition. And then the statement of reasonableness and consistency will need to be approved as well. questions.
Questions for Tim? Questions?
Can we,
Mr. Burrow?
I have a couple questions, but they might be more appropriate when we go to the second phase of this. But I'll ask them now.
Why don't you ask him now while they're hearing?
Okay.
And just keep
Okay.
in mind, the applicant is going to speak after Tim's done.
In the next part of this, the planning board has also asked to have a condition applied to it, to have the door design submitted to the staff to be approved. And having been on the planning board, I understand that, but I would like to also add to that that the approval should take no more than 2 business days. I don't want to see this is something that's important to downtown, and I want to see it go through quickly and let this get on, you know. The other question I would ask the applicant is, when you're going to put that really nice looking door there to the patio, you're going to put it right next to a piece of ductwork that's unsightly, and I don't even know if it's in use anymore. Is it possible to ask the applicant if that can be removed, and does that cause any problems with additional CUPs?
I would think you could make,
So that would be a question that posed to the applicant, and
Yeah.
they can either accept that condition or not.
Right.
Correct?
And if we're going to clean up the side, let's clean up the side.
yeah, and I'm not sure mechanically what that means for them. I can let them
Right.
speak to that.
Exactly. Nor do I.
Other questions for Mr. Jones? If not, Lee, you want to come up and speak first? You signed up first.
Signed up for a lot of things. I'll just answer your question just right now. That unsightly ductwork, and it is unsightly, is dead. It is defunct. It's no longer in use. So yes, when we are out there, hopefully building a patio, putting in a proposed door, that will be taken away, because I mean, you don't want to be sitting eating your dinner looking at that.
Right.
So that will be removed.
Lee, just for the record, would you state your name and address?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Lee McShane, residential address 4021 Kingsgate Place, Charlotte, North Carolina, owner of Mary O'Neill's 116 West North Main Street, Waxhaw.
Thank you.
So yeah, that will be removed.
Good. I just want to make sure also that that won't trigger another conditional use permit.
No.
Okay.
Thank you. The proposed patio, we decided to look at the piece of land, just to give you a little bit of background and what it is we're trying to do, is right now what we would consider dead space, dead land. There's nothing going on back there. There's grass growing, and I know it's even a bother to cut the grass. So myself, Kieran, Dennis, my business partners, we're looking to see if we could expand. Thankfully, we've been successful in Waxhaw in the year we've been here. So thank residents of Waxhaw for that. And we want to see if there was room for a little bit of growth within Waxhaw, rather than taking business elsewhere or looking at it maybe a second restaurant. We thought, hey, we're really enjoying Waxhaw. We're looking at moving ourselves, our families, to Waxhaw. So we thought, you know, let's grow our business here. We've got some dead space here. Let's see if we can build additional 50 seats outside where we can, you know, have some additional seating for eating, drinking, you know, enjoying yourself is what we propose Mary O'Neill's is for. So yeah, and it's not going to be a permanent structure, so we're not pouring concrete. We're not trying to aesthetically ruin an area. We're aesthetically trying to make the area better, to hopefully bring more businesses to downtown Waxhaw, and make Waxhaw a place for everybody. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Lee? Thank you.
Thank you.
Kieran? And just for the record, state your full name and address.
It's Huron Farley, 2204 Vision Drive, and that's in Charlotte. But like Lee said, 116 West North Main Street is Mary O'Neill's. It'll be a lot shorter than Lee's. I'm just going to echo what he said. We've just had a great first year, looking to kind of build our business on it. Couldn't have asked for a better start to our business, and just kind of want to keep growing it from there. It's on a Friday, Saturday night, it gets kind of busy, and kind of, you know, what we thought was going to be too big of a restaurant is you know, just right. So we're just trying to grow it a little bit and kind of go from there. Yeah. Just trying to, like Lee said, tidy up out there. It's definitely that piece of ductwork is, we kind of want it to look presentable for our customers too, you know. So try tidy up that area and just try just try move on from our first year.
Any questions for Kieran?
Thanks,
Now,
guys.
mind you, he also said tonight's a beautiful Irish night, so he wishes they were open now, so.
And that's
Thank
not
you
good
very much.
patio weather.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, and with that, any further questions of Tim? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move right on to old business. Action on Mary O'Neill's patio door CUP petition CU 0078002018. And Tim, you do not have to go back through the presentation, okay? Thank you. At all. So, board, what would you like to do with this?
I make a motion that we approve petition CU 007800-2018 with the following conditions. The proposed exterior door maintain the historic character of downtown area by complying with the Waxhaw Unified Development Ordinance Downtown Code section and following the Waxhaw Historic Landmark Guidelines.
We have a motion on the table to approve the petition. Further discussion?
With this motion, does the additional condition that the planning board asked for come into play? I did not hear it in this.
May I jump in? I think you need to add that specifically so there's no question that that's a part of it.
Okay. Is that a,
So she needs to include that in her motion.
I think that
Yeah.
may be in the packet.
No, it's right here. In addition, do I have to add at the October 15, 2018 meeting, the planning board made a favorable recommendation, provided that the exterior opening complies with the downtown code and is approved by staff.
You may want your vent or whatever that is you're speaking about.
and with that, Brenda, that any
And
application
with that, any application be completed by staff within
to
2 business days.
So, one second here. I'm a little bit confused because in the packet, because it's what I thought, in response to the planning board concerns, the condition was added, and the condition is what's written here. So, wouldn't that suffice? Would that suffice? Because we don't have the specific words from the planning board, but in the packet, it said, in response to planning board concerns with maintaining blah, 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 can be added to the recommendation, and they listed that condition, which is exactly written in that motion. Would that suffice? I'm just trying to connect the documentation.
So that motion then basically, when it says complying with the Waxhaw UDO downtown code section and following the Waxhaw historic landmark guidelines, those within the guide, that is.
That was
within
the planning
guideline.
board request.
That's within the guideline, within that would cover it, what you
Okay.
have, the original.
All right.
But I'm also thinking of that vent that you were speaking of. But does that need, or is that within the historic guidelines?
Well, the event's typically something that will be included in the review, but I mean, since it's a concern at this moment as part of the process, I think, you know, it's agreeable to the applicant. I think you could add it.
Sure.
Yeah, so-
And I just want to make sure we're clear here too. The planning board asked specifically that the design of the door be submitted to the town staff to be approved. That's not stated specifically in the motion that's on the table. Okay? And I'm fine if that's not required, that the design of the door be reviewed by staff. How is that required?
Yeah, and I've got this quote here from our minutes that we had. At the end of their voting, they stated that, provided that the exterior opening complies with the downtown code and is approved by staff, our motion added to the downtown code, but at the moment it's missing approved by staff.
Correct.
It's part of the normal process that they'll go through next after this approval, but if you want it to be added since it was part of the planning board language, I don't see any problem unless you do.
I think it's better to add it, quite frankly.
And to add to it the 2-day turnaround period.
And I think she did that.
I did that. That's
She
the
did
motion
that.
that's on the floor right now.
And so I think that would be the more appropriate. There's no question what was approved.
So Tim, are you clear as to what the conditions are?
I think so, yes.
Could you repeat them, just so everybody's clear?
Let me take a shot at it.
You don't have to repeat the one that was already in the motion, other than add approved by staff.
Yes, because, let's see here.
Just want to make sure we list all the conditions.
Yeah, preserve, maintains, the approved, number 2, the second one could be, the proposed exterior door will be reviewed by staff.
Okay.
And as part of that, the approval follows with that, so.
And then the third one is the ductwork.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Said vent, but it is ductwork.
The exterior ductwork on the side facade will be removed.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. We have a motion with those conditions. Any further discussion? It's important to list them out because the applicant has to agree to them, and that's why I wanted to make sure they're clear on it as well. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Statement of reasonableness and consistency.
Which one am I reading?
It's on the screen.
I can't see that.
There you go.
Okay, reasonableness and consistency. Motion to approve the statement of reasonableness and consistency. The conditional use permit request is consistent with the comprehensive plan and future planning goals of the town of Waxhaw and is reasonable and in the public interest as it will support business in the Main Street zoning district, and the exterior door opening complies with the Waxhaw downtown ordinance and the Waxhaw historic landmark guidelines.
We have a motion on the table. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And findings of fact.
Well, we may have missed the findings of fact up front.
We can state that we found them right now.
Yes.
Okay? So, Mayor Pro Tem McMillan, would you go through the 4 findings of fact, and we'll vote on each one?
That the use requested is among those listed as an eligible conditional use in the district in which the subject property is located or is to be located.
Finding of fact 1, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. That the conditional use will not materially endanger the public health or safety if located where where proposed, and developed according to the plan as proposed.
Finding of fact 2, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That the conditional use meets all required conditions and specifications.
Finding of fact 3, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That the location and character of the conditional use, if developed according to the plan as proposed, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located and in general conformity with the plan of development of Waxhaw and its environs.
Condition 4, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
There you have it. Done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. You guys going to have the door by Thanksgiving? All right, next item up, Town of Waxhaw Events and Program Calendar for 2019. We've been through the presentation, and really the deliberation and the discussion is really about the calendar. We reached consensus on the concept of program approach, so you're good to go on that. First of all, thank you for all that you took us through today. We started this journey a while ago. This didn't happen just tonight. This is about a calendar, which is what we do every year at this time as we go forward, so we can plan, and we'll have all sorts of fun with budgets, et cetera, as we get into the budget season. But the ask by staff is to approve an events calendar. So the question on the table to the board is, what event calendar does the board wish to approve? And we're going to have a motion. You saw what they presented, which was not this one, but the other one, yeah. And that is what they submitted as a proposed calendar. You can make a motion to approve as is. We can first of all deliberate everything, but make a motion to approve as is. Make a motion to approve with adjustments to it. And so, with that, does anybody want to have a discussion about this?
Can I ask Dina one final question?
Sure, Commissioner Lee.
Dina,
Yes, ma'am.
just to clarify for anyone who wasn't here during the work session, it was brought up that if we decided we wanted to, or if we felt it was most important to keep the fireworks, is there a way to do that safely in 2019?
As of the discussion we had, it would be challenging to do at the current location in a safe manner.
And that was the reason for recommending not doing it this coming year, was safety
It's
concerns.
the safety concerns
Not budget.
and looking forward to knowing the future of the land being
Okay.
gone.
Just clarifying. Thank you.
With
First-
that, while we're clarifying,
Okay, let me just recognize you, okay.
Okay.
Mayor Pro Tem.
with that, while we are clarifying, it was also, there were also other suggestions and alternatives that could possibly be viable that were proposed in trying to look at to still have the fireworks.
Yes, so in September of 17, we came to council with some viable options. Unfortunately, they did not pan out. And then at our earlier meeting this afternoon, options were given for shuttling to other locations that I have written down in my notes, and then look at other, trying to think of brainstorming different options that could possibly help with the safety issues.
Commissioner Lee.
Do you have time to investigate those possibilities in order to implement something 2019?
The safety, I would have to work with our emergency services to really to dig down on that one. I'm not comfortable giving an answer on that one.
Okay.
Manager Ferguson, did you want to say anything?
Yeah, I would not want to leave with the expectation that the calendar gets approved and then we're going to go have a redo on it, because there is a pretty long lead time if we're talking about fireworks, and there's permits involved and there's the location issue. So I think really that it's probably logistically not possible to have a calendar adopted and then have an investigation of the feasibility for July of 19.
So, for example, we have to let the fireworks company know in March if we're going to do it in July.
So those kind of options that were brought up would most likely come into play a year out,
Yes.
if we can make something work. Okay.
Well, the reality is, if we said go with the fireworks, you guys would have to come up
We
with
would.
whatever the safest, safe solution, whatever that might be, and that would require.
There would still be the same issues. We would
Yep,
just have to do
exactly.
the best that we could.
And we'd be taking on that risk that
Absolutely.
we're not sure that this can be done safely, but we'd be saying, go ahead and do it as safe as you can, and we'll take the chance.
I'll be the obstinate one. You still have until March before you have to commit. I would really appreciate one more time to try this. I know that you've made your case, but I come from a background where you have to give it your best every day, and I would like to do that too. If we have to set a date by which this drops dead, do that, please. But I don't want to give up on it.
I'm just going to say this, and I'm not picking on Commissioner Burrow. I think our staff does their darndest. This is not lack of effort, and I don't think anybody from the public or from this dais should question what you do. We just need to get all the facts, and so I think what was stated was more facts from Commissioner Burrow as a thought process. That still doesn't take away the responsibility for us tonight to adopt a calendar. So, Chief?
Can I just say one thing? As a veteran, I understand the importance of that day. As a police chief and taking part in this event for numerous years, I think it's 30 years.
The fireworks are not 30 years. The parade is 30 years.
Okay, I've been doing the fireworks since 2006 anyway. They have grown, and it's not a manpower issue with us. I mean, we're going to do what we got to do. But when we have an elderly man fall off a wall and we try to get EMS to him and there's a delayed response because of the crowds that are out there, I think we have to take that into consideration, that we need to look at what's best for the public and protect the public. I do my best every day that I'm out there. And at the end of the night, I have to put my head on the pillow knowing that I did everything I could to protect the citizens of this town, whether it be the children, the elderly, or any other citizen that's out there.
Commissioner Burns?
Dean, I want to thank you for the work that you did. We asked you to do it. You brought back the recommendation, and I appreciate all the hard work that you did. As far as the calendar, I would like to see the Santa fire truck maybe do renting the truck, and also the carriage for pay, if he will come. You said that he would come back if people were willing to pay to see if it will work out for him. And as far as the fireworks, everyone in this town loves the fireworks. I've been here 28 years, and I've been to all of them since they started. But I think we've been in a risky situation with safety the last couple of years. This is not the first time that this has come up, and I would hate to move forward with fireworks this year in this location and one child or one adult get hurt, whether it be your child or mine or my grandchild, I don't think the risk is worth it. Chief Ice has told us what the risks are, you have, and I trust that those facts are true.
So we have some suggestions on the table from individuals. Let's not lose the carriage rides. Let's not lose Santa in the neighborhoods. Doesn't necessarily mean you have a solution for, and again, we're talking 2019. 2018 is already booked, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
this
so
year,
this
that's
is
next month.
It's a year out, and you got to go through the whole budget process, et cetera. We've already decided, even though it was a relatively new event, just from logistics, et cetera, that the Easter activity is off the table for lots of different reasons, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so now the question is,
4th of July fireworks.
the 4th of July fireworks is there is no consensus on that just yet. So, but is there consensus on the other items? Leave the 4th of July off for a minute. Is there consensus on the rest of the items?
Yes.
So we have a consensus on that part of the calendar. Now it's down to the 4th of July fireworks.
Would it be appropriate if I went through the months that we have on here, just so I'm completely clear on what we're moving forward on? So for example, April, we're suggesting a movie night at the community corners. May, Kaleidoscope turns into one-day event as a Taste of Waxhaw. We still have Memorial. We also have a Jammin' by the Tracks. We have a Jammin' by the Tracks in June. The 4th of July parade, and then the possibility of fireworks. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay. August, we have Jammin' by the Tracks. September, Jammin' by the Tracks and our 9/11 Patriot Day ceremony. October, we have the Grillin' and Chillin' plus Autumn Treasures 3-day event and plus Fright Night. November, we have a movie Under the Stars at the Community Corners and Veterans Day. December, we have the Christmas party, Senior Christmas Party, Festival of Lights. Look into the ride through the neighborhood of renting the fire trucks. And then the Christmas parade. We also have the Wreaths Across America ceremony and the menorah lighting ceremony. With their carriage rides in the month of December, we are asking the vendor to provide carriage rides paid play, not for free. Am I
Yeah.
fully clear?
And we have consensus on everything but the fireworks.
But the fireworks.
Okay. So the other thing that I would just ask, regardless of what gets adopted, that at some point in time early next year, I think it's important for you and Kurt to come back and show how this is going to work with all the construction that's going to go on there, because you're using downtown every other month. And while I get the quadrant aspect of it, we're still using the downtown every other month. And
We've actually been working really good with Kurt about strategically planning when, but he doesn't have that information of construction dates yet. That's the reason why.
I just came from Raleigh, and I saw some of the problems they're having with their parade, with construction, and
It's going to be a
an eye
challenge.
toward safety. So what do we want to do, Board? Do we want to adopt the motion where we have consensus and then have a discussion about the fireworks? And take that separately?
I think that's a good idea.
So who would like to make that motion on everything but the fireworks?
I move that motion that we accept the calendar with the exception of pending discussion on fireworks, otherwise as presented, with the addition of pay-to-play carriage rides and investigating the possibility of renting the fire trucks for the Santa's rides.
So we have a motion on the table. We'll come back to the fireworks. Any further discussion on that part of the calendar, which is the bulk of it? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 So we got 99.9% of the calendar done. And as you see, pretty good support for what you recommended and really minimal change to the public. So now let's come back to the fireworks. What do we want to do? That was a good visual. Everybody loves fireworks. Personally, though, from where I sit, we have been down this path with staff, and they went and investigated, and we don't have, you investigated 4 or 5 different options.
4 different viable
Yeah.
options in the area.
So that part didn't work, and so we know that. We have all of our staff, not just the police chief, not just Dina, but Public Works, strongly suggesting that current course and speed, it's not a viable solution for much longer. I'll just leave it at that.
At the current location.
At the current location. And so,
But it doesn't mean that it can't be in a different location when we, get our new parks, whenever that date happens.
so what do we want to do?
Since I'm always a proponent of schedules, I'll place myself under a schedule. I will come up, give you alternative suggestions by middle of December or sooner. And you tell me at that time if you,
So
you
no.
explore.
So let's be clear. If there are some alternative ideas, I think we should probably bring those back and have a discussion in a public forum. This is not something
Okay.
where everybody individually goes and tries to tell Dina what to do. And I'm not being critical. It's just
No,
we got
fine.
to recognize and respect the form of government we have here. If we want to schedule time for that, that's an option. What are we trying to do here,
Can I ask a question?
Commissioner Lee?
Just to make sure that I'm understanding this correctly, because I think, Greg, hadn't you said that you thought that any changes that we were to make may not be able to be enacted by this coming July? Is that what you said, or am I misrepresenting or misunderstanding?
Yeah, I think there's a number of things, one of which is the notice to the fireworks company. The other is securing the property again, and then if there's some alternate site that hadn't been discussed, we've discussed 4. I think we've laid out the 4 that don't necessarily work. So if there's a 5th site someplace that somebody wants to propose, we don't know what the time frame is for going and approaching that landowner.
Okay.
So that needs to be built into it if that's a course that we take.
So if we were to want to look at alternatives, could we set a deadline, even if it's fairly soon, and say an alternative would have to be found by X date, or we either,
Yes.
could we set up something like that?
Absolutely. Time is of the essence, and we have to do it now. I mean, we don't have another meeting until December unless we call a special meeting.
So-
Or we work towards other alternatives like shuttling or.
Those would be.
Maybe,
Well,
hang on,
have to be
whoa, wait a minute. Let's all, one at a time here. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
So in addition to looking at alternative sites, which isn't the only suggestion, but an alternative method of handling or proceeding with the fireworks, if it is shuttling or some alternative method of how to approach the crowds, that too is something that can be addressed, or that, we can look at, not just an alternative location. In working with local churches, other area parking lots, something to assist with crowd control. That's something that also can be looked into as well.
Do we then need to set a deadline and say by X date, we must have found an alternative of either a location or a method, or something else comes into play, and what is that something else? Is it we continue on the way we are, or we postpone it for a year? But we have to have a deadline by which an alternative method or location must be established in order for them to enact it in time.
I agree. We need to.
Commissioner Burrow?
We need to set a date that needs to be soon.
Well, in setting
So,
that,
Mayor Pro Tem, let's not just turn into chaos here, one at a time.
in setting that date or deadline, you stated that you needed to notify the fireworks company by March.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, what else do you have to, or who else would you have to notify, and at what time frame do you need those notifications to go in?
Usually for a big event, it takes 6 months lead time. So just think of it that way. With setting the calendar for the next coming year, it helps us with that lead time to make sure that we're staying ahead of the game. With this particular event, we have to contact with all of our emergency services to make sure they're on board, they have everything they need, and so on. So that's always part of our planning specifically for this event. Now, with the landowner issue in the general area, we know of one parcel's already been sold. Not knowing what the other parcels happened during the time, I can't give you that information because I don't know what that's going to look like. But for the spot that we have right now, we know land around it is getting sold.
Mm-hmm. Other questions, comments? So, personal opinion is, unless this board can come up with some criteria to give you guidance, I don't know what we're asking you to do. So I'm starting to get a little bit more direct here. So what's the criteria we're going to use if we're going to go and give them alternatives? Is safety a criteria?
Yes.
Yes.
Number
Okay.
one.
Number one. Is cost a criteria?
Sort of, but not the big one.
What else? What other criteria should, if we get to alternatives, should be considered? Dina, please enlighten us.
I've done fireworks in a smaller venue, but they're smaller fireworks. So that's also an option, is to limit the space, but that limits the amount of people coming into the space, and that gives us more control of the space, but that's also a smaller amount of fireworks. Again, it's not probably our best option just because it feels like we're going backwards on the type of events. But that could be an option.
But your recommendation is,
Until
with Chief Ice, is until we get
a viable space to hold a contained area that can handle the amount of caliber of the fireworks that we currently have, that we postpone it.
So what do we want to do with the fireworks?
I make a motion to postpone it with the information that Chief Ice, Dina, Greg has given us based on safety as being the number one priority.
So we have a motion to postpone until, as stated.
Until we can figure out
Yeah.
another place.
So postpone, not eliminate, but postpone for right
I
now.
love fireworks.
And that's for 2019. Further discussion?
Well, it doesn't bar us from investigating in the meantime
Yeah.
other alternatives, so in that respect, it's good.
Yeah,
Further discussion?
I agree. That's right.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of postponing, please signify by saying aye and raise your right hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So the fireworks will be postponed carries by a motion of 3-2. And then we can discuss, because I'm sure this is not the last time you're going to be in front of us for Park and Rec topics. We can discuss maybe a more structured plan, criteria, et cetera, in terms of how do we look at alternatives. There are a lot of them presented. We're going to have to figure out how viable they are. But for now, that's postponed. So you have a calendar for 2019, which is what you came here for, right?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions from, you're good?
I'm good,
Okay.
but I would love to hear what you would, what your options are, because always, again, open.
Just as a comment, I think we owe those options at least by the next scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting, if not sooner.
So, just out of respect to staff, well, I appreciate your offer, Dina. We'll let Greg guide us as to how those come back. I don't want to turn it into you respond to every request in every one of these. It's got to come in a cohesive way.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Gosh, we have no new business. General public comments. Bonnie Rosico. Thank you, Dina.
My name is Bonnie Rasinko. I live at 2501 Providence Road South, and I just want to say two things. Usually I'm always complaining, but this time I want to commend Chief Ice and the police department for educating me and making me appreciate the police department more than I usually did with the academy, the police academy. I learned how bad of a shooter I was. I've learned a lot of things about it, and I just want to commend them. It was a fantastic, and I think that every citizen should take the opportunity to try to sign up for that or put it online to where people can understand the police department. There was many questions that I had, especially the one that was answered to me. In fact, I even got to do that little gun. What is it called? The little
Taser.
yeah, and it was nice to see people speeding and not having to be able to stop it. I wish I could have stopped them, but actually
Radar
the
gun,
radar gun, yeah. It's
A
amazing.
little bit concerned if you're going to taser people.
No, I got tasered, though. I got tasered because they tasered you when you shot somebody and they killed you first, and I got tasered. I got tasered bad. But it was fun. It really was. That's one thing. And then now the next thing is Fright Night. I had never participated in Fright Night, and I've been here for 20-some years, and I thought this year I was going to take my easel, set up, paint, and just watch the kids come by with their costumes and the adults. Oh, my God, I have never seen so many people. It was like a wave of people. You could stand up and look down the street either way, and it was just people, people, people. I've never seen so many Walking Dead in my entire life, and I'm watching it on TV. But I think it was a good thing. It's the first time that I had seen the businesses and the citizen interacting so well. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful, and I'm glad that they didn't cut that out, because Fright Night was something that anyone should come down and see. And I painted and talked to people and had people around me. In fact, I felt like I was being an obstruction at one time because there were so many people. So I kept moving my easel closer to the building to where I was almost in one of the little walkways, and there still was not enough room. It was wonderful. So I just want to thank the staff and Dina and Lisa for all the wonderful things that they've done with that Fright Night. And I hope that, well, I'm glad they didn't cut it out. So, and that's all.
Thank you very much. Edwin Elam?
mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, to the commissioners, to the Greg Ferguson, our town manager, Ms. Melanie Schuler, town clerk, to Chief Ice, and also to the town attorney. I have 5 items that I'd like to offer for this body and for the public as well, who are all of our bosses here, the public, and we must never forget that the people are in charge of the government. Each of you are aware of a former town of Waxhaw attorney, Spencer Chaplin, also former town manager Warren Wood, who sent me a letter on November the 3rd stating about the brouhaha that we all know about here in our town, Commissioner Burns. And it was stated in that particular letter, which I have here and also one for the media as well, that it was a private matter. Number 2 is that out of one of the 8 items that I have selected to request from the town on the Freedom of Information, after my attorneys got involved and sent the letter to the town, I began to get the information that it was said that I would not get until 2019. Number 3 is that the attorney, the arbitration attorney, as well as the former town manager and the other attorney who was the town attorney as well, Mr. Spencer Chaplin, I looked through all of the information that I received in the Freedom of Information request, and I found out that it cost this town and the citizens more than $11,000 on legal fees that we all basically agreed was a private matter. And I'm having a hard time trying to understand how the town spent for their client. I did request the information for some of the witnesses who saw some of the egregious things that we had communicated that have been totally one-sided. I then found out that we could not get that information because it was your client, meaning the attorney which you hired as the arbitration attorney. But we also found out that I did some thinking, and so then I said, well, you can't hide the bills paid for by the taxpayers to these individuals, so I requested the bills. And it's very, very telling, and so the numbers are very, very true. Is it a perk as a town commissioner that you actually get free legal services, number 1, paid for by the town? Number 2, is that why we've been discredited on not actually finding out this information? Number 3 is that in the minutes, it does indicate, yes.
The town attorney represents the board and provides legal service to us in our duties as a town member of the board. That we're not entitled to anything other than that, so.
May I finish?
Yep, yes, but I just want to clarify that because you directed it towards a commissioner. You're addressing the board, and the town attorney represents the board, okay?
Well, not a problem. Well, here's the bills right here, which is very clear as to what it was spent on, and I'd like to share that with all of the townspersons by letting them have access to it and make the decision for themselves. Lastly, as I take my seat, I cannot still understand for an item that's in your email that came from your attorney as well as the town manager, how it actually became a private matter, but yet we spend over $11,000 of taxpayers' dollars. Now, we have some who are sitting here who are protecting us physically, but I'm standing here right now, or sitting right here protecting us fiscally. But you also said, Mr. Mayor, that we recognize and respect the form of government that we have. And somehow this just doesn't add up. In fact, it really stinks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. Manager Ferguson. We're going through the leadership reports.
So a couple items. You have coming to you in the month of December a report back from the Urban Land Institute, and that Urban Land Institute will deal with the downtown properties that the board and staff requested the Urban Land Institute study in the month of October. As you recall, there's a summary that we gave you, kind of some high-level feedback that they gave, but they'll get into the nitty-gritty of kind of their recommendations as far as Niven Price Building and the lot that contains parking that's behind Niven Price, as well as additional properties in the downtown. In conjunction with that, one of the recommendations that staff has made and kind of as part of the process that Mr. Buckley's described to you, if you wish to consider the disposal of town property, is that we have initiated an appraisal for the Niven Price building to get the fair market value. In consultation with the attorney, we've looked at that as being something that would be valid for about a year. And so that will give us a window to consider any current offer that's on the table, or for the board to look at a request for proposal process to consider the sale of the building. That also gives us kind of a baseline to know what we have as an asset. We know what the purchase price was for the properties in the past, but it was a combination of more than one property, and it included the McDonald House, so that kind of starts to net out what the value of the building is. As part of the downtown...
Is that coming in a written document or discussion on, are we discussing it at the board meeting in December? Or?
We most likely will have a written opinion of value by December.
Okay, thank you.
In conjunction with looking at the downtown properties and particularly considering parking options, we are currently looking on Church Street at the possibility of angled parking on the lot that the town does own, which is sometimes referred to as the gravel lot behind Niven Price. There's a possibility there of adding about 6 spaces. That would require a budget amendment that would come back to the board probably in the month of December. We're working on pricing right now and some minor design there. But as you recall, there's a fund that's associated with Niven Price that's actually the lease payments that go into that building fund that would be accessible for improvements to the property. So that would be what we'd come back to you in December with some additional information and a budget amendment to consider that. So that's coming down the road. And then lastly, I don't know that we have it up on the screen yet, but we do have additional events coming up that Dina mentioned that.
You got a chart on that?
Yeah, there's a handout at your place, and so I think we showed those at the last meeting, but a number of events coming up still in the months of November and December.
Any questions for Manager Ferguson? Okay, I'll start off from a board perspective. First of all, a shout out to Marvin Elementary, Kensington Elementary, and Waxhaw Elementary, and a special shout out to Waxhaw Elementary. October and November was Learn About Local Government month for the second graders, and I had the privilege of going to each class. Waxhaw Elementary took it to another form. They actually wrote a book, and I'm going to bring it over to Town Hall, where they described what's special about Waxhaw, and I would encourage everybody to go and read what the second graders wrote, because I'll tell you what, they get it. They really get it. Yes, they love their ice cream. Yes, they love their pizza, but they love the downtown park. They love the people. They love the parades, and they're very open about what they said. Later this month, Manager Ferguson and myself will be heading up to Raleigh to begin to work with the league on legislative activity for the long session. Each of the board members is providing input, and so we're consolidating that. Commissioner Burrell, are you joining us too? That's what I thought. Okay. And from there, we give 15 priorities to our advocacy group called the League of Municipalities, so they can work with our legislature on our behalf for the next long session, which begins in January. And finally, just in general response to the public comments, if anybody has any issue that they think they disagree with or don't like about the town and they want it investigated, the avenue to go is report it to the town manager. The town manager will get our town attorney involved and look at it, and it'll be evaluated fairly. That's how we do it. And so if anybody has issue, that's how we process that. Mayor Pro Tem, any comments?
Yesterday was Veterans Day, and I just want to say we had a wonderful Veterans Day program. Thank you to all the veterans who served, and remembering all those who are no longer with us and serving our country, and to wish everyone a happy and blessed Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Commissioner Lee? Commissioner Westlake?
I was just going to say the same thing. Thank you to our veterans, and thank you to the event staff for the wonderful ceremony you put on.
Commissioner Burns? Commissioner Burrow?
I'll just add a little bit that thanks to all the ladies that make the quilts of valor for all the veterans and for everybody that participated, because in my mind, the veterans are the families, they're the wives, they're the children, not just the soldiers and sailors and airmen. And just to let you know, there was one gentleman there who served both in World War I and Korean War, and that's quite a feat.
Okay, with that, we have no additional items, no closed session, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.